go.
Okay, no more talking, huh?
Testing.
Yeah. We're good, Joe? You hear me? Joe?
John's not gonna be here tonight.
Joe?
There's nothing on the agenda for him.
Okay.
Tom, how does the meeting go with Waukesha?
You haven't had it
Testing.
No.
scheduled for Monday and there's snow.
The weather's been too bad.
I talked to John today.
Yeah?
I said, no,
Ready, supervisors?
Yes, sir.
All right. Madam Clerk, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Vernon Town Board of Supervisors meeting call to order. All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Chairman Thomas Byrd,
Present.
Supervisor Jeff Millies,
Present.
Supervisor Gary Wilde,
Present.
Supervisor Ed Moline,
Present.
Supervisor Bill Craig.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum of your board present.
Open meeting law compliant.
Mr. Chairman, the agenda was posted inside and outside the Vernon Town Hall to the media, to businesses in the town of Vernon, and on the town of Vernon website. As a courtesy, you're in full compliance with the open meetings law.
All right, thank you. Item 6 is Chairman announces a possible closed session. Item 7 is Chairman reads motion to go into closed session. Consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Paren 1, Paren E, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically negotiations for cooperative boundary agreement between the town of Vernon and the village of McLaughlin. And 19.85 Paren 1 Paren G, conferring with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it might likely become involved, more specifically, the town of Vernon sexual offender residency ordinance. Included in the closed session are town board members, town attorney, and town clerk. Motion requires a roll call vote, and the town attorney, if we need him when we go into closed session, we will, to keep the cost down. He will not be here, but we can reach him by phone if we have questions on a phone conference.
Test out our new phone system.
So, with all that being read, that will require a roll call vote, but that will be at the end. So, we'll go to public comments. Are there any public comments? Merle?
Merle Wagner, West 265 1000 Somerset Lane, Town of Vernon. Just want to call your attention that, and you all have gotten an email from Karen on the State Senate Bill 512, which has to do with the fire commissions, fire and police commissions. I'd like to read a letter that Ed Moline had wrote to our state senator, Craig. No. Is that on?
Yeah, it is. He's got to probably bring it closer. Nope, you just turned it off.
Hear me now?
Is the little Here, take mine. Mine probably doesn't work either.
Anyway, it has to do with State Bill 512, and Ed Moline had wrote a email to Senator Craig, and it stated 2/7 of this year. Because I've been made aware of SB 512, which will be discussed tomorrow, which would have been the 8th of this month. In Madison, sadly, I cannot attend. I ask you to do your best to ensure this doesn't get to become law. Having been the president of the Vernon Fire Commission, I can see many issues with adding a member of police or fire department to the commission. The commission, by definition, has to be a totally unbiased group. It has the power to act like a court on disciplinary matters. This in itself would cause a conflict of interest in my mind, and one of those individuals on board. The word bias seems to just jump off the pages. As best I can determine, this effort appears to be directed towards possibly weakening Act 10 and has the flavor of a union push for power. I have heard SB 12 described as putting the fox in the henhouse. I think this is an apt definition. Please do your best to limit our state government power over us, help us maintain control of our own local departments. I see this bill as a move to limit control of the disciplinary procedure through collusion with the very individuals it was set up to oversee. Because I'm doing this tonight because I feel it's important. I don't think it hopefully won't affect our town or our fire commission. But when it comes to larger cities, it may, and also where there's extra powers that fire, which we don't have in our fire commission, but where other ones do, or where there's multiple departments under one commission, which could have more members than just the 5. That's the determination that the state center has to determine, I believe. But hopefully, it won't affect us, which I don't think it will, but it's something that has to be watched and watched carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Merle. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? No other public comments? We'll go to the miscellaneous matters. Item 8, the following matters will be discussed and possible action taken by the town board unless otherwise noted. All right, I see we have a representative from the Sheriff's Department. We'll skip to item 10B. And Sheriff's Department, do you have any comments or any?
I don't have anything. If you don't have anything, I don't have anything.
Do the supervisors have any questions or comments for the Sheriff's Department?
Seems to be going pretty good.
Yep.
Okay.
We don't have any problems out here other than bad driving. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. No problem.
Okay, thank you. All right. Item A on miscellaneous matter, resolution 2018-4, a resolution rescinding and charging back of taxes due to culpable error pursuant to state statute 74.33 of the Wisconsin statutes in the town of Vernon. Mr. Cal Magnum and myself put this on the agenda. Cal is here. Good evening, Cal.
Good evening.
Could you explain that, please?
Just for the other board members, I made a mistake on an assessed value. This statute allows us to correct that, and that's what I'm asking the board to approve. I assessed a new single-family home at 100% complete, and it should only been assessed at 66% complete for the 2017 assessment. We've gone through this process a couple times over the past years. Every time I make a mistake, I get to come in front and say I made a mistake. But the state does allow the town to charge back the money that's rescinded, refunded. It is adjusted with the state going into the next year.
Okay.
I had a question on the dollar amounts. I couldn't quite understand the math, how you came up with a refund of over $3,000 and they only paid $600 so far.
They paid their first half of the total $10,000 tax bill. So they paid, by state statute, the property owner has to pay the first half, and then make the request for the recipient to refund it. But I ran the math based on what it should have been assessed at. I came up with those numbers.
Oh, so that $3,000 refund is out of the $5,000, but they're still gonna owe for the second half?
Right,
The
right.
second half,
Yes,
the second half of their
They
taxes?
paid the first $5,000,
Okay,
and they get
all right.
$44. There's still $5,000.
Yeah, okay.
All right, that makes sense. I'm thinking, that didn't seem right to pay $2,000 on
Yeah.
a $600,000 value.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any other?
So procedurally, we're supposed to cut a check then, rather than wait for them to make the second payment and make the deduction there, right?
Right.
Okay, so then we gotta do what we gotta do.
They have till July to make their payment, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
They made the first half, the first installment by the due date.
Right. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2018-04.
I'll second
In that motion, Supervisor Millies, did you want to authorize that payment, or do you want to put it in accounts payable? Next accounts payable?
Authorize the payment.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for, correct?
it.
Is that okay with that?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Bye, Cal.
I want to thank the board for putting me early on the agenda. Thank you. You guys have a great night.
Nobody's nervous, you know.
I make mistakes, I can tell everybody about it.
Item B, should designated funds for the fire department be transferred to the general fund with an assigned classification? When Howard was doing his yearly audit for us, he asked me these questions, and I thought, well, let's take it to the town board. There's actually two questions. There's, the first one, B, should these funds be transferred to the general fund while retaining the assigned classification? This way they won't get commingled with the general fund undesignated funds in surplus. And there's a second one, which is item C, the fire department exceeds its budget of capital outlays, as it appear it will in 17 when it gets complete with the audit. Should these funds be utilized to finance the excess provided that there aren't other sources specifically available for the finance of them? So those are the two questions. So we'll take question, the first one, item B first. Should the designated funds be transferred?
I had a question, would that include, you talked about capital outlays, but looking at their budget at the end of the year, and again, we don't have the final on it, but there was, stipends were way over. So that they're deeply beyond the budget number on the stipends. Would we include that as an offset as well, or?
Well,
Just capital
I think
outlay.
Howard's talking about the whole number at the end with their combined
Okay.
budget.
Everything total? I have no problem with that.
So is there a motion on item B?
I'll make a motion that the designated funds of the Vernon Fire Department be transferred to the general fund with an assigned classification, designating them as whatever we're gonna,
Just ended at classification.
classification.
Okay, perfect.
I'll second it.
So you'll still see it on a separate line
Yeah.
item, it just won't be in the designated fund.
Right.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
motion on that.
Item C, yeah. Vernon Fire Department expenditures for 2017 capital outlay. Should the fire department unassigned funds be utilized to finance any excess in budget?
Well, if they go, well, maybe we should have a motion first before we have a discussion, huh?
I'll make a motion to, let's see, the wording on this should be, approve the use of capital outlays, for the fire department unassigned funds to be utilized to finance the excesses. Is that okay?
Capital outlay expenditures.
Expenditures?
Discussion?
If they went over on their budget, we would have to make a budget amendment anyway to cover their overage, on their budget, right? We
Well-
gotta pay for it somehow, don't we?
When we have our audit,
Yeah.
what Howard is doing is, he's not only doing each department, he's doing the whole thing as a whole.
Okay.
So we don't know yet if we're over budget to do a transfer in or out.
Right.
We gotta see, wait come April,
But we do know we have excess funds for the fire department.
for fire department, right?
Right, and we know we have
We
specific
can,
over.
right, we can, but we don't know specifically what their overage is
Till we get the budget done.
till we get the
audit done.
audit.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to make a decision on if we wanna take monies out of that to cover that, or if the general fund, our general budget will be sufficient enough to cover what that was. Normally, that's what happens.
Basically, it gives us a choice, right?
Right,
As to
it's a
which way we
choice.
wanna go to cover the expense.
The only problem I have with taking it out of there, all of a sudden, each year, the will take a little out of here, before you know it.
They don't have any money
There's
left.
nothing left in that fund to be used for, what, some type of capital improvement that these people donate the money for.
Yeah, but I like the idea, if they're gonna mismanage the funds of the fire department, those are fire department funds, so.
Well, if they're gonna mismanage the fund, we should be on top of them, stop it, and do it the second year in a row. That's our job.
I agree.
You know, it shouldn't be an ongoing problem.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that discussion right now, but we should talk about that later, yeah.
In April, when we get the final audit numbers, we'll be able to determine what needs to be done with that.
So this is kind of preliminary right now, just kind of,
Opening the options.
yeah, just showing options.
Howard wanted me to put it on the agenda. I'm not a big fan of it, but he wanted to put it on there, so.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it this time either.
Oh.
I don't wanna see this money being, setting precedent, also money being used in other areas.
The only downside to this is if our budget comes in, say the town budget comes in pretty close to what we budgeted, and the fire department is short, we're gonna have to get the money from somewhere. You know?
I like it as an option. You know, that's why I made the motion. I see it as something there, but you don't have to use it. So once it comes to a discussion, we look at the final numbers and we decide that we don't have it in the general fund, where we're gonna get it, leaves us another option. And that leads to the question we just started to discuss.
Well, if we do approve this option, and say this year we don't touch that money. Say what happens in the next few years when there's a new board.
Yeah.
They're gonna be, hey, the board approved this back up, here's who's taking money from there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they can start using it too. I'm kinda leery of approving it this time. I think I'd rather wait and see what the numbers come out. And,
You don't wanna take it out the budget for now, table it, and,
Till April.
There's a motion.
put it back on? I'll retract the motion.
I would think then we just vote on the motion, yes or no?
Yeah.
Motion
Oh,
can fail.
let's vote the motion.
And the
down.
motion has failed, and then that's it, it's done.
Okay.
We can always bring it back at a later date if we,
I like for the simple fact is that it just, if we vote yes, we can do that. Then we don't have to, but it tells the fire department that, hey, we can if we want to.
That's where my mind's going. I'm gonna maintain my motion.
Okay,
No, I am.
well, that's fine.
We can vote it down, but I'm gonna maintain it.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
aye.
That's okay.
I had to make sure everybody heard my aye.
How do we get 6 votes out of 5 people?
I snuck one in there.
All right. All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Item D, park impact fee needed for Town Hall Park Supervisor 3.
I had asked questions about this quite some time ago, but we came up with some fencing issue.
Right, and through the audit process, Howard looks at everything, and he questioned the expenditure of the new fencing for the new park. And we looked into the impact fee study, the park and recreation study that was done in 2009. And obviously that falls under the new category. So he indicated that the taxpayers' money that was utilized to pay for that fencing should come out of the park impact fee study, and that money be reimbursed to the taxpayers. And the additional approximately $5,000 to $6,000 of additional fencing that's needed for that park be spent on that this year, and so we can get that fencing up, and that would deplete the park impact fee study to almost nothing. And then that's something the town board can talk about if they want to continue that, but he just wanted to let you know that that is an option, an absolutely viable option that
It will
you
come
should
under
do.
the parameters of
What was
using that
designed
money,
back then.
what it was assigned for, you know.
Right.
And I don't think with what's going on in today's world that we can protect those little guys, those young kids
Yeah. Do it.
anymore, you know, or put a fence around it. Somebody could drive up that driveway and drive a car right on there and, I don't know.
Well, we've got to gates too, but
Well,
At least it slows them down.
it'll make some noise and hopefully slow them down.
Yeah. The other thing I really like about this whole thing, maybe we'll finally put this park impact thing to rest, you know, and
Yeah.
make a determination to get this thing cleared up, off the books, and put it to some good use, you know.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that Howard tracked down the money by the year as far back as he could, and is able to determine what we can actually spend this money on.
Right.
You know, that's appreciated, because this has been a thorn in our side for how long? You know, quite a significant time. After it's depleted, then let's talk about what we can do from there on. Maybe
Right.
we don't need it, we don't have that much new building going up here, and that's what the park impact fee was designed to take money from new lots and things. We're not gonna be able to generate very much any longer.
And you're
We don't have-
following exactly what the plan said. That park was not,
That's what we
was
wanted to find
envisioned,
out.
was envisioned but not built. So if the town board chooses to do that, they would authorize the funds that were paid for to Century Fence for the existing fencing, with the understanding that any additional fees will come to the board before it's spent, so you can, that would be approved by you before it's actually spent.
And I know.
I'm in favor. Go ahead, Ed.
Haven't talked to everybody about this before. It seemed like the record keeping was a little hard to follow. As far, well, when you take it, you
Not
know,
on my watch.
so much, no, it goes back so far.
Right.
If you have to return the money, there was no record as to who to give it to. So at a minimum, if we're gonna maintain this park fee, we've gotta at least get a tracking system separate account and tracking the builder's name and all that stuff.
Right.
If they're out of business, they want to figure out what to do with it, you know.
I mean, it is in a separate account, like statutorily
You said
it
it,
should be,
yeah.
that was done several years ago.
But we don't know who would.
Right.
They
We know
could be out of business by
from
now.
2013 on, we know exactly. So this would actually use the appropriate funds that should have been utilized for the fence to begin with.
Right.
And future expenditures would come to you before that they're spent on the new fencing also.
Wonderful conclusion. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Get it, Bob, trying to spend this money on something that's allowed.
By law,
Yeah.
unless you have something, well, you've got to give it back after so many years, we saw.
After so many years.
This takes care of the problem.
And it-
Thank Howard.
It addresses the chairman's concern about, and the board's, about safety for the children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any reason why we can't consider work on the activity center, including demolition, improving the site as park expenditures?
Because
All kinds of
it's,
parks.
when they did the study, the VAC existed. That park did not exist when they did the study.
Right.
So all your park impact fees can't be utilized for existing structures.
Well, we're gonna have to do improvements to the site.
That's not what they can be used for.
Oh,
Really?
That is not, that's against this, that's the whole intent of an impact fee is to have the residents that are coming into the community that's impacting the
Get a
need
benefit.
for additional parks and additional equipment, it's not supposed to address an inadequate building or substandard.
We're just lucky we had that park put in. That gave
Well,
us
that's
the
what the
time.
first money was used for.
Yeah.
I like that, I like the site, you know, way to
Yeah,
resolve it.
get it off the books.
So do we need a motion then to say go, okay. I'd like to make a motion to use the remainder that, or whatever funding is necessary to finish the fencing in 2018. Is that,
Your motion would be to do a journal entry to utilize the funds that were applied to the fencing in 2017 out of the park impact fee study. So the motion would be to authorize a journal entry to pay for the fencing in 2017 out of park impact fee money, not general taxes.
okay.
I'll second
That's
that.
a motion.
You guys.
Now, Howard will be happy because this will take, he'll clean the books up too.
Is there a second?
I second
Okay.
What do we do about the new fencing for 2018 though?
That's gonna come to you before it's spent, because
It
that's
does.
gonna be over $5,000.
Okay.
So that'll come to you for you.
Clean it out and it, okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
it.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item E, forfeiture of occupancy bond, AT&T Mobility.
Yeah, what's this?
Madam Clerk?
Once again, as part of the audit, we always go through all the existing counts. This one isn't as old as some of them might have been, but it's a occupancy bond that was collected in 2012. I sent the check twice. I sent 3 letters. Vince called numerous people. We cannot find the person to give this money to. And if you look at the ordinance, it's really their obligation to contact us for a refund. And we've gone well above and beyond to try to pay AT&T Mobility that money. So what Howard is asking, like you did in the past to clean up the books, is to forfeit the occupancy bond for AT&T Mobility.
Is there a time limit on that to begin with?
2 years.
2 years, and that's.
2 years based, once occupancy has been granted.
And it passed that.
2012 it was granted.
Oh, gee. I wonder why they don't want it. It's a big company, not like they're not in existence.
The attorney indicated that there's a lot of changeover
Okay.
in those areas. And as you know,
Peanuts.
with the franchise fee, we're trying to track down who's in charge of what. We'll
Yeah.
get them, but it takes a while.
Is this a tower site?
I'm not really sure. Vince would know what, for $1,000 occupancy, it had to be something substantial.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's the tower, we're not sure where it's,
Ah,
we just have the address. when occupancy bonds are given now, we actually make a copy of the check since 2013. So all occupancy bonds, I have a copy of the check, and if the bank, if that's closed, or at least we have some documentation. In 2012, they didn't do that, but we do that now. But we've made, I can show you the checks that have come back that we've voided out.
Yeah.
The letters that I've done, Vince has made
Yeah.
phone calls. We've gone above and beyond.
This cleans up the books on that.
It's only $1,000.
Right.
I'll make a motion to approve the forfeiture of the action bond of AT&T Mobility.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mileage and phone reimbursements to employees and elected officials. Madam Clerk.
Well, last but not least, the final category that Howard indicated is that our distribution of payments toward phone bills and/or mileage are not correct. If you're getting a reimbursement for a phone, you're supposed to turn in your phone bill so that there's documentation of why the phone, the money was given to that individual. And if there's mileage given, there has to be documentation of that mileage. He cited that the fire department, they get that stipend, there's no documentation. If the employee doesn't supply documentation, then it has to be, they can still have the stipend, it's just put on his income, and they pay taxes on it, and he also indicated that mileage is only for business traveled miles. It's not for them coming to work, or me coming to work, or it has to be for, going to a meeting, coming back to the town.
Mhm.
I did talk to Howard when he was in here, was that earlier this week or last week?
Last week?
Okay, and I asked him specifically about mileage. You go from, let's say, the town hall to McGuanago Village Hall. Okay, that's business mileage, but when you go from the village of McGuanago Hall to home, that is not business expense.
Right.
And I think we've got to make that perfectly clear, and we're probably gonna have to refuse the request.
We gotta get better tracking of what's going on. And make some statements about not having 15 bank runs in a day, when it could be done in the morning on the way in and on the way home. Post office, same thing. I've mentioned this a couple times because I was under those rules and understood that you're not allowed to use home mileage, even if you stop to pick up a package or something for the company.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not authorized. I think we need to give everybody a copy of this IRS code, section 162, 2380. Spells are all black and white.
Where'd you get that?
That's all I have.
It's in the packet.
Okay. That,
Howard just wanted you to be aware of that, and whatever you choose to do.
What are you guys gonna do with it?
I can only
Does that
find that
mean
one
that,
resolution. Isn't there a
like-
resolution in there, Tom?
Karen, does that mean that like the fire department members who get compensated for their phone bill, like the chief and they get $100 a month, will they have to bring in a copy now of their phone bill on a monthly basis
Mhm.
in order to get compensated for the 100? That would include probably, yeah, Tom and
Myself?
and you.
In fact, what I'm gonna do, because I was compensated last year, I'm gonna bring in my phone bill, so I have documentation. The other thing he indicated is when I or the treasurer submit our mileage, we should never sign it. That's always, after it's approved, it should be signed by at least one or two board members, even though it's approved at a board meeting.
Okay.
The person making the request shouldn't sign.
Oh.
And I just assumed when I signed it, I was signing that I'm being honest and this is my actual business miles.
Okay.
So,
How do you verify business miles without a receipt? Do you just take them at their word or what? Like, you know,
It's a trust fund.
Yeah,
that's what I'm.
you can go on MapQuest, you really can go on MapQuest and,
No, I'm just out of curiosity, it's just something that, you know, I could say it, that I spend 5 miles, go from here to whatever. Well, what if it's 2 miles? You know, how do you verify?
Oh, you can, yeah, that mileage you can pick up on a computer like that.
Okay, I don't know, I was just, these are questions that come to mind when people
right.
ask for verification.
I know,
Does Howard want a receipt, see the bank deposit and receipt from the post office or whatever, every time we go run to the bank?
I would think he would want that.
Yeah, I mean, how detailed do you have to be?
no, it indicates the day that you go, what your mileage is, and what your mileage coming back to the town.
Well, I remember when I was getting reimbursed when I was on a job, I had to copy down my starting mileage, and I had to put my ending mileage on.
I carried a logbook in the
A
car.
logbook, yeah.
That's how truck
And that's what
drivers
they
do it.
use as a basis of keeping of an accurate mileage, you know. If your odometer was off, well, that's too bad, get your odometer fixed, you know. But that's what I remember
Before
is,
they had MapQuest. and-
yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
In the old days, we had to keep our personal mileage separate
Yeah.
from the business mileage in a book.
That's how it was verified by, when I did it, you know, I don't know, it's changed.
He just wanted, not that you have to make any motions, but he just wanted to make you aware
Yeah,
that if proper documentation isn't returned, it's my responsibility to put it on as income,
Okay,
reportable
We have a
income.
resolution here.
That's the only thing I could find, that resolution, that's the
okay,
only,
I don't have a problem. We
Is
want to be legal.
This was done way back in 2014.
yep. And there was nothing before that, Ed, nothing.
Can we
thing, no.
add something on this to direct people to look at that?
You can do whatever you want.
I'd like to make a motion to add that to this document.
You want
So in
the,
the future, they can't say, well, you didn't know we couldn't knock off the mileage home.
do you want the resolution redone?
Well, the problem is this document will change, mileage rates will change.
Mileage rate.
Well, see,
Change
look,
really and stuff.
they put it published by the IRS, so we don't have to make the mileage change every year.
Yeah, in accordance to the rules of the IRS.
Yeah,
Right.
that does fluctuate.
You did see where I saw 21 there.
Yep.
Old doc. You gave it to me though.
Did you find it?
I did. I gave you a copy.
21 cents?
Where is
It's
it?
the one you sent where I couldn't find the document. You said on the bottom, I'm not used to opening a document on the bottom. I look up top. Remember that one?
Oh, from Howard.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The one Howard sent was so old apparently, it said the mileage was 21.5.
Is that by
Oh my
ox cart?
I think when I started work it was more than that.
So Ed, do you want that resolution redone?
Well, I'd like to see what everybody's opinion on it is, but I think it's important to make that clear that that is part of the requirement, that you can't charge your home mileage here. I think there really ought to be a reason why someone would make the number of trips to the bank and post office in a given day. I don't see the reason for it.
Well, I don't understand why the post office.
Yeah, we got a box right out here.
Box right out here.
Buy stamps is about the only,
We got the stamp machine.
Yeah.
well, it runs out.
No, it doesn't run out.
Doesn't run out, okay.
No, that excuse didn't float. But I don't know if she has to send registered mail at any time.
I do.
You do. Did, you know if the treasurer does? I mean, I'm trying to think of a reason why we
I
should,
have no idea.
why she would have to use, the post office.
I have to do it for zoning violations.
Yeah, that's about the only reason I can think of. You gotta send a registered letter or something. But there's not that many registered letters going out, I think.
No.
That's all I had. Anybody wanna make a motion to add that? Can I make a motion to add that?
You can't add that to a resolu, you'd have to redo the resolution.
Rewrite the resolution? How do I word it to get that done?
Well, you could, if you're making a motion, you could direct the clerk to redraft the resolution to reflect the IRS statement.
I'd like to do that if everybody's in agreement. Well, I don't wanna drive things through the board if the board's not approving of it.
We just vote.
The heck with you, Karen.
We didn't agree with you. I'll second his motion.
Yeah, I'd like to direct the clerk to do that, please.
Any more discussion?
Jeff seconded?
Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Supervisor, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Moline, is it directing the clerk to draft in regards to mileage and reimbursable expenses?
Can we just say C and then give them the code?
Yeah, the only thing is that one, that will change. You know, if you reflect a specific date,
Then we should just put that last line on here. Actually copy what's on there.
okay,
You want me to give this to you?
I'll get it later.
Okay.
Okay, item G. Legal's response regarding Town of Vernon Park hours, signage, and public access. It should be sunrise, sunset.
Yep.
Instead of set hours. And then we can write citations for that. So are there any comments on item G?
Yeah, sounds good.
Be self-explanatory.
Okay. Item H, create a policy for DPW and fire department clothing purchases. Eddie, that's your baby.
DPW looks good, the draft we got, looks very good. Covers what we discussed. Fire department, is difficult. They have, money that's supposed to come out of a clothing budget, which is safety, their safety equipment, that by law, we provide. Then they also have a different dollar fee allocated to each level. Chief gets a certain amount, 250, just chief gets 200, these numbers may not be right. And then, battalion chiefs get X dollars, and each of the members gets $100 for optional clothing, like buying a shirt with a label on it, or a pair of work pants, something like that. So basically, we cover the safety equipment, and for the officers, I guess they get a dress uniform. But I don't know if it's every year, every 5 years, none of that's spelled out. Alex has offered to come in and explain the clothing allowance to us. He said, John Kabaki was in charge of tracking that. I asked at least 3 times, just the names that belong to the last clothing invoice. If he's tracking it, he's not tracking it by individual names, so I don't know how he's keeping track of who gets what. The 3 times I asked, I never got an answer to who with the names associated with that clothing. So I think we do need to get somebody in to review that and put a policy together. I'd ask that we...
Shouldn't there be a line item for making a distinction between protective clothing and for general regular clothing that the department buys?
We don't have that now.
No, but I say, shouldn't there be a line item for that, so that we know that protective clothing isn't buying stuff that
We can do
isn't
that.
really protective clothing?
And you know, it gets confusing because Karen gave me a couple invoices to look at, I think you got it.
Yeah, right.
And I had asked Alex, I said, is the only thing that goes into protective clothing, protective clothing? He said, yeah.
It's not.
Well, no, she showed us a couple things right off the bat. They're just misidentified. They're labeled under the wrong category, so they go into protective clothing.
Rosman's Hardware, for
But you know,
God's sakes.
even with that, the protective clothing budget was below what we budgeted for. It wasn't an issue or problem, it's just nice to know, what are we doing? What are we gonna give them? So that next year, we don't end up with, chief gets 1,000, they get 500, you know, you gotta put a number in there to clarify what the policy is. And right now, it's kind of loose.
Well, we need to tighten it up.
Well, we need them to clarify what they expect it to be, and then we'll see if we can approve it.
And he wants to come on March 1st to talk to you?
You got an email from him saying he'd like to come and explain it, and I'd love to have that conversation.
He said he'll be here if
Oh,
the
good.
board,
Okay?
I'll put that as an agenda item.
okay.
Yep. That should take care of it.
The only thing with the DPW is $125 for work boots.
Is that enough?
No, it's not
I looked
enough.
at that and I thought, should that be 150?
That's all you have in the budget, though.
I
Yeah.
know, but next year,
Next year, we should,
have to
we should
up
look
that.
at that, yeah. This is
I'm-
good.
The budget's a guide.
This laid out very well.
I
It's
mean,
not a it's not a
Well, we already
gospel.
approved one
Anybody
for the
Right.
work boots, so
Yeah.
well, we can
You know exactly what
change
it
it
is.
now, so it's, but for next year, we need to up that amount.
I'll know that for the record.
Who wrote this policy, Karen?
I did.
Very good.
It says draft on it, draft, because I thought you guys could change it however.
No, that's,
No, you hit all the points we talked about, so I think, let John read it, and make sure that we have.
Oh, John, yeah, I gave it to him first.
Okay, just, we don't wanna short anybody on something, but we like to make sure we identify what we're doing.
So are you approving the DPW?
yep.
Yes,
Okay.
I
Make a
am.
motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the draft presented, 215, regarding the DPW clothing policy.
I'll support it. Second. Should that be included, right, in the employee's handbook?
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And fire department, we're gonna wait till the chief comes in.
Yep.
Gary asked a question, should that be included in the employee handbook?
That policy for the DPW.
The employees-
DPW?
The employees don't, most of the purchases are done by the DPW. The only purchase the employee can do is for the boot, but it's with the authorization of the DPW director. They don't go out and buy it and say, here's my, they say,
Okay.
John, I'm gonna go out and
Wouldn't
buy
the
some.
handbook just tell them what they're entitled to, it doesn't tell them they can go buy it, right?
Yeah,
They're entitled to one pair of work boots a year.
That's all that's in there right now.
Right.
But if we change this,
And
wouldn't,
the vests and the gloves, we supply
Yeah.
supplies for them.
okay.
Okay.
it's not really a benefit.
No, it's needed equipment.
It's
safety.
it's a budget item.
Okay.
It's not really it's not a given you're gonna
And
get
they've
it.
got a line item for it, it's just a matter of identifying what goes in that line item now.
And out of respect for the employees, they usually go to John to say, I need a pair of boots, he'll, you know.
Yeah.
Because if they buy a pair of boots in December and then in January, he's gonna say, hey, so. I mean, he does watch, and Doug did too.
You wrecked them during hunting season, I'm sorry.
Item I, discussion of the Vernon Activity Center, I think there was a fella out there, and we should be getting a proposal soon. You know, John's been pretty busy with all the plowing and everything, so that's just an ongoing. Item J, site plan of operation for A&R Investments. This one here was made by a recommendation to the top board. We never really seen, we've been waiting for that, for them to get the DNR, but that hasn't happened yet. So we approved this, it should be with the, also the approval of the DNR. They haven't gotten that paperwork yet from the DNR, that's what's holding this up. But just for normal house cleaning.
I got a question, this was approved by Town Planning Commission way back on August 9th last year. What's taking so long?
They haven't gotten the paperwork from DNR.
It's the DNR holding everything up on it.
They're hoping within a couple weeks to get it.
Yeah.
They were hoping that in November.
Right.
Oh, DNR, because of the tanks and everything that they want to put in, is that the DNR has to approve all of that?
This is more housekeeping thing.
We don't want to hang by my toes. Well, we're waiting for the DNR, I'll tell you that.
So what should the motion be, Madam Clerk?
Motion be that the Vernon Town Board concur with the Town of Vernon Planning Commission to approve the site plan of operation for A&R Investments with the address of South 65 West 22175 National Avenue with the conditions set forth by the Plan Commission. Which
What
does,
about the DNR?
it's in there. It is in there.
Oh, it is,
Yep.
so by stipulating that, we already covered
The
DNR.
zoning and the building permit are predicated by that permit. They can't get a zoning or building permit before that's
Well, I'll make
presented.
that motion.
I'll second it.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Wow.
Correspondence, I have nothing, or announcements, I have.
The only announcement I have is the spring soccer deadline for sign-up is March 2nd. It's coming up soon, hard to believe.
Yeah,
So get your registrations in by March 2nd. Plan on playing soccer.
Gary?
Under announcements and reports, I'll combine it. The announcement, haven't been any business come forward from board or anyone else regarding the public health and safety, so we won't have a public health and safety meeting this month. The other thing is that I've had a couple complaints in regard to snow plowing being plowed in the roadways. And John went out and investigated it, and he's going to make a recommendation with the help from the clerk to write a letter that can be sent to homeowners who violate the ordinance to indicate to them that this is not acceptable, that it's causing a serious problem with individuals who are driving, possibly lose problems with their car. And so that's being addressed. And also one of the other problems, not problem, but I was asked to go out and look at a property to determine whether Vince needs to look at it in regard to a zoning violation with excess junk vehicles. And I did that, reported back to Karen. Karen, we made a report, we made a file a complaint, and that was given to Vince, and it's in the process. Other than that, that's all I have.
Isn't there a chicken barbecue this weekend?
Oh, yes, thank you, Jeff. And, for all of you, the Lions Club is having a chicken barbecue by their Lions Club, or the community center in Big Bend on this Sunday, starting at 11 o'clock. All are welcome. If you like chicken. No, I'm not a big fan, but there's a lot of people that like chicken. So, and it's barbecued, so come on down.
It's always a good deal.
Yeah, it goes to a worthy cause too.
Yep.
You have somebody the chicken soup lined up?
I'm sure there'll be somebody out there wandering around. The gentleman that was the chicken is battling serious illness, so he won't be able to do it. So we have to find the appropriate individual who can fit into the suit, for one thing, and that eliminates quite a few of us. Myself included, because it is an expandable chicken soup.
It's for a thin chicken.
I'm more gonna put on a lot of weight.
I'm more of a plumper. That's all I have. Thanks, Jeff, for reminding me.
Ed?
We had a question again regarding some of the fuel that's necessary for some of the vehicles, and I managed to track that down this time to find out what exactly is going on. Karen got called again to go down to the Quick Trip because one of the fire trucks needed some of the, what's called DEF, which is diesel exhaust fluid, which is in reality the same thing as urea. And when I mentioned that question last time, that what do they need, urea, everybody said no, because it's not under that name anymore, it's called DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. They do need it. Two of the fire engines and several of the trucks back here are new enough, they require this, it's for exhaust, required for emission control on newer diesels for exhaust. They went to the station, and the station down there sells 2.5 gallons for $11.99. They only had one container. 1 gallon was $11.98 each. So prices are all over the map. I asked John, I said, don't we carry that since we use it? He said, yes, absolutely we do. They buy it in cases, 5 gallon per case. That's 4 2.5 gallon cans, and that goes for $3.31 a gallon, which is half of what we're paying basically at the gas station. So I'm gonna send an email, if everybody doesn't mind, to the fire department and request or state that they should be buying with John, the DPW, joining that purchase order to get that fluid.
You should be buying it in bulk.
And yeah, absolutely, if they need a couple more cartons, he's got 7 cartons here right now. So if they need some, he can provide it, and they can just transfer some money on the budget and get it taken care of. They buy it from Gary Wolcom Incorporated, and for that price, I just can't see going to that gas station again, paying that retail, paying that, yeah. So that's what it's all about, and they do require that. That's why he wanted a credit card for Trip. He has no need for it, if that's the only reason. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Bill?
I got a call this last week from a resident concerned about a neighbor accumulating junk again, trailers and tires and you name it. And it turns out, I believe, Karen got the same complaint, and I think Karen had already talked to Vince about it, because when I called Vince, he said he had already been over there to look. So Vince is gonna now wait till the snow melts down, because now everything's covered up. But he'll be back over to check on that. But it just seems like we're getting more and more and more of this stuff. Like, I'll move out to Vernon where I can hide all my crap in the backyard.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to rent.
That's storage, yeah.
You know, so like I say, Vince is on top of it, but it's another one going on our list of inspections. But Vince is doing a good job, I think, of following up on some of this. The question always is, how long do we want to let this go on? That's an issue. Then I just had a question. Gary brought this up weeks ago, and are we going to have on the agenda soon this discussion as to resident requirement for committees? I would like to see that brought to the board for discussion, because I got some pretty strong feelings on that.
Okay.
I don't know if that was going to come up again, but I'd like to see that on the agenda pretty quick here.
Yeah, we talked about that staff, but no.
We never came
Why don't you put it on the next agenda? The chairman said to put it on the next agenda, Bill.
Good, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Madam Clerk?
I just wanted to, I know it's late, but the last day of voting in the clerk's office is tomorrow at 5 o'clock. State statute requires that all municipal offices stay open till 5 o'clock for the last day of absentee voting. Just wanted you to know that the Windows 10 upgrade for all the computers is going to be coming shortly. Some people are not going to be happy, but it has to be done because all the other software is old and it's not supported, and we always have to worry about security, so that's going to happen at the town. I have no idea what's happening at the fire department. In your packets, one of the questions that came up from LPI was, how long is our contract? It goes to August of next year, so we'll be doing 4 newsletters this year, 3 newsletters next year, and then that'll come. They indicated that they're not going to be doing it again, so that's something that we'll investigate different options for the board. Also in your packet, last packet, was the information from the DNR in regard to the vacation property, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Treasurer's report. It's in your packet. Any questions? questions? Move on to finance. Accounts payable dated February 18th.
Bless you.
Good time?
Yeah, good time to bring this up, I think. There was one invoice in there that both Ed and I had noticed, and we had a discussion regarding it, the Lynch Chevrolet invoice with the fire department. I'm pretty sure, and my mind doesn't really play too many tricks, but I remember the chairman specifically indicating that we were going to try and get some of the smaller repairs and things, and like oil changes and things of the fire department done in-house here to save some money. And talking with John, he did indicate that there's a $10,000 line item in the budget for doing this. Well, we have a bill here for $1,459 from Lynch for oil change, and then they found a whole bunch of things that were wrong. And I question the fact that, you know, why in the world did they go to Lynch to get an oil change? It's not that critical, it has to be done right then and there. They could have talked to John and scheduled this at some convenience for John and for Dave, who does the work, to have this taken care of. And if there was a problem, in discussion this with Dave and with John, this could have been done in-house, this major repair that cost us $1,200, and for significantly cheaper than what a dealership charged. And to me, we need to find out, you know, what's happening. John indicated to me that he made some numerous attempts to communicate with the fire department to set up a schedule to get some of this work done, and he hasn't had any response back. So he said it would be really easy to establish a schedule for whatever vehicles that the fire department would like to have taken care of, and then he would work with Dave and they would fit it into the schedule. So I think we need to do some discussion with our employee to make some determinations about how we want to proceed with these things from now on. I mean, I specifically sat here and I know that we've told them that to take this, bring these things in and let's do it in-house here, the things that we can do. This is not a fire vehicle, this is a fire vehicle, but it's a Chevy Tahoe, which is, to me, is just a regular vehicle that, and if Lynch could handle it, I'm sure Dave could, you know. So I just bring this to my attention I know we have to pay the bill, but we need to look at what we need to go, how we need to proceed after this, in regard to this.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion.
we just went through this with the pickup truck.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
What, on my packet, Gary, I didn't have an attachment even showing what the
I went to
repairs
Lynch
were.
and got it.
That's my
What
fault.
were those repairs?
That is,
She
that
sent it
is,
out today.
yeah, that is my fault. I
Oh.
apologize.
What were those repairs actually?
Oh, I didn't go through that. I mean,
Ball joints.
Bill, I'll pass you down the, I got it here.
Yeah, oh, here. The only thing that
You got a
Dave said
copy of
that,
it?
Yeah, I gave him mine.
the only thing that Dave said that he couldn't do is wheel alignment, which is more sophisticated type of equipment that you
Yeah,
need.
and when they do wheel alignments now, they do 4 wheels.
Yeah. But he said ball joints. I said, what, are ball joints $600?
No.
And he said, well, I could probably go to Napa and pick them up for $60 to $70 a piece. What? So a lot of this is probably inflated a little bit because it's a dealer, you know. Dealers are top of the line. You're gonna pay top dollar. But I think we need to really look at this, you know, and I was a little concerned, and Ed brought it to my attention, so I went and did a little checking on it, and, I think between the two of us, we were a little upset when we saw this bill. I mean, $1,400 is a lot of money to stick into car repairs.
So who's actually in charge on the department for following up or deciding where to go with what and when?
Chief was told by the board, who are his directors, it wasn't a request, it was stated that for simple things like oil change and all, you bring it over here. Don't go to Lynch. He was told that specifically, so that should have gone to the group. I mean, in a chain of command and a military order,
Yeah.
from the top down. So whoever took it over there, if they didn't have the chief's permission, or he didn't follow up and let everybody know there was a change of plans there, he got lost in the mix or somewhere. We gotta make sure that that gets emphasized and he understands it. I was real upset because I know Tom took particular pains to clarify that we had the ability over here, and we had a substantial savings available by going here. You know, we
Yeah,
gotta watch the
put-
pennies for
We
the
put
town.
$10,000 in a line item for our DPW to do it.
Yeah.
From taxpayer money that's laying there
Yeah.
for that.
Exactly.
That's what upsets.
You know our labor rate's a lot cheaper than
Exactly, that's why we have an in-house
Dealership.
mechanic.
yeah,
It's kind of frustrating, but we're gonna get it straightened out.
yeah.
Believe me, we will.
Labor was $694.95. That's what the labor was.
And it's typically $100 an hour at those places. I don't know exactly what Lynch's are, but most of them are $100 an hour around there.
So, all right, with that being said,
Yeah.
Chief's coming in on March 1st, everybody be here.
Yeah. We have other questions too.
Yeah. So, accounts payable,
Well, with Karen's updates on here, I would move that we approve batch 20180215 in the amount of $1,976,912.20. So she answered the three questions I had.
Mm-hmm.
We Energies, Waukesha County check, and Wisconsin Electric.
just, I'm just gonna reiterate for the public here that, the reason that's up to $1,000,009 is that we have the second settlements for McWanago Area School District, Norris, Caldwell, Waterford Union, the Waukesha Tech College, and Waukesha County. So, that's why that, is up to $1,000,009.
Maybe I should wait till there's a second one.
You just read off this, that she
Yeah.
gave us the support, that number.
I just had a comment to add.
Yeah, go ahead.
Activity Center, we had a bill,
Yeah.
utilities are like $250
Yeah, yeah.
for a month, so
That's what I
let's
was
get
just looking
that. Sooner the better.
Yeah, nobody's using it, it's just costing us taxpayers money.
Yeah, just sit there.
Right.
Yeah, right here.
All right, so Bill's got a motion to accept.
Bill made the
Second.
motion, I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. No manual checks, correct, Madam
Nope,
Clerk?
that is correct, sir.
Okay, approval of the minutes?
Pages 46 I'm missing.
1 through 4.
This is
It starts on
my
Friday.
page 4,
Oh, 3, 4.
5 and 6, I'm totally missing
I think I only got 3 pages.
Yeah, there is only 3 pages.
Yeah.
Page 3
Oh,
to 3.
page 3.
It's weird, yeah, it starts
It
off
is weird. I got
1 through 4, and then 5.
3 of
It's there.
3, 2 of 2.
That's Plan Commission.
Oh.
That's like.
That's already approved. Do you want a new set?
How many meetings is?
I wanted to put the Plan Commission minutes in so you could see what the Plan Commission
Okay.
motion was. Want to pass those to Ed?
2017.
That's it over. It's kind of foggy, but we'll get her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How red his face is.
okay.
Here's all three.
Because I did read
Just so they
these.
just running in the parking
All
lot.
right.
Were you testing us, Bill?
I have to get my composure back there. I move we approve
You're close.
I move we approve the February 1st minutes consisting of 3 pages.
Yes, I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, next meeting date is March 1st at 6 p.m. Public comments, are there any public comments? Records show there are no public comments. Motion to go into closed session. Consideration possible action, a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin Stat 19.85, Pren 1, Pren E, deliberating of negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investment of public funds, or conducting other specified business, whatever competitive bargaining reasons. Cooperative boundary agreement between the town of Vernon and the village of McGuanago, and conferring with the government body. Oral or written advice concerning the strategy to adopt. Closed session, town board members, town attorney, town clerk. Motion requires a roll call vote. I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Chairman Thomas Byrd?
Yes.
Supervisor Jeff Millies?
Yes.
Supervisor Gary Wiley?
Yes.
Supervisor Ed Moline?
Yes.
Supervisor Bill Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll note for the record that your board unanimously voted to go into closed session.
All right.